finish it in 6 years, it's the 7th year. Or they finish it in 7 years, it's 8 years, I'm not sure.
No, it's usually, I think, every 7. Yeah. זהו, ויזרע שבאז יזרע יצחק זרוע לצדיק, שוער התורה ומצווה שזרוע נסלבש בדברים הגשמיים שבעולם הזה. That what is the union of Yizra Yitzchak, the union of planting, this goes on Teiro mitzvahs. Because Teiro mitzvahs is compared to pits that are planted into the ground and then it grows. As the Alter Rebbe explains in Teiro in the famous MaMaar Aboim Yashrish Yankiv in Teiro and Shmeis, that why is it called Yashrish, is throwing roots, and Yotze Sephorach and growing, and blossoming is because the union of mitzvahs is compared to planting. In the same sense that the union of planting has to be dafka in a certain designated place in the ground. It won't grow in a desert. It won't grow somewhere that it won't allow any output. In the same sense, the union of mitzvahs is something which is actually dependent on every yid. It is mitzvahs. When a person puts on tefillin, he is planting. When somebody that is not commanded to do this commandment puts on tefillin, does not accomplish anything. Or as the Alter Rebbe brings the example, it's like laying on the table. It's not accomplishing anything. Because it has to be a desired land, there has to be a designated land which is prone to be able to accomplish. In the same sense, like planting something, so it has to be on the ground, on earth, which has been worked through, plowed, in order that there should be output. So the Rebbe says with this we can also explain. That through the Aveda of Vayizra, which is the general Aveda of planting, which is the general Aveda of Teiro mitzvahs, is this accomplishes that there's a general elevation in Yitzchak. Why? Ki Vayizra Yitzchak hu Aveda klolis. Hu Aveda the limad Teiro v'kiyam mitzvahs. Aveda, the inyan of Vayizra Yitzchak is a general Aveda. It is an aveda of limud. It is an aveda of limud atayr and kiyam mitzvahs. That's the aveda of Yitzchak. B'meile it accomplishes a shleimus in Yitzchak. So based on this, we could say shagam shnei inyanim shebepasik vayizra Yitzchak gamer. The two verses, the two expressions that are mentioned in the verse vayizra Yitzchak. One is vayimtza meir shorim that he found 100 times as much as he calculated. And then Vayivaracheu Hashem, that the Eibishter blessed him, the Almighty blessed him. Hey minyanim klolim are general inyanim. Dikmeisha Aveda the Vayizra Yitzchak Aveda klolis, the same way that the Aveda of Vayizra Yitzchak is a general Aveda as mentioned earlier, the Aveda of Teiro mitzvahs, which is the purpose of every soul in this physical world, to plant and to accomplish, is Gam ho inyanim shenim shechom amayl al yedei Aveda zu, hey minyanim klolim. So therefore also the results of this, the outcome, which is the blessings and the success that he sees from it, are also inyonim klolium, general inyonim that have roots l'mayla, that their source is on a spiritual level and sphere. So now the Rebbe is going to continue. Yeah.
So Vayizra Yitzchak means he's learning Torah and doing mitzvahs.
Right.
But is that specifically unique to him? What about Avram and Yaakov? They didn't learn Torah and do mitzvahs?
By Yitzchak it says the union of Zriya.
Right.
And by Avram there was also Achnas Esarchem, there was Doke. He gave Meiser. We learn it out from Avram Avinu. By Yitzchak Meiser Mekil. But by Yitzchak we find, the Rebbe asked the question, Dafke, why is it that we find that we derive Meiser, Dafke, from Avram Avinu, not Yitzchak? We see it over here, that he was Vayivaracheu Hashem, they wished to bless him. The Rebbe answers it. It's a separate union. But here, the word is that it says, by Yitzchak, it says specifically. Muss man sagen, there is a Shaychas to Yitzchak. Al pi the MaMaar, it comes out that there is a Mailam, it's at Yitzchak. First, let me see what the Rebbe says. It seems like it was the Nesoyan of Yitzchak. That the same way that Avraham Avinu went through a test and a tribulation, and he will receive the brachas later, the same way after Yitzchak went through Avimelech and a different Nisyanas, this is when he received the blessing. It was Yeridat Tzerech Aliyah, the descent for the purpose of an elevation.
After the slave comes the Ashiras.
Ashiras, yeah. After a person had a loss, so then comes the union of rachamim. After din, after judgment, comes the union of rachamim. That's why the Rabbeim would say, after a fire, a person becomes rich. This has nothing to do with insurance. This is before the insurance even. This is even before the insurance companies existed. This was Pashara Inyan that the Seder is that after din comes rachamim. So Tzaddik brings it in Derech Mitzisecha right before Hallel. It's a word from the Alter Rebbe. And the Rebbe mentions it constantly. When people had problems, the Rebbe would write it. Pisgam Kedeshei Elyon. Imre, Pisgam Kedeshei Elyon. V'yikuyim Bohem, the Lashon is MaMaar Kedeshei Elyon. As after a Sreif, a person becomes rich. Okay, let me rübergehen, da reden wegen der Minion da. So Mela, the Rebbe is saying like this, the union of Zriya is a descent. Dafke in Gashmis, and Dafke there, here it grows, so it is Yerida, it is a descent for the purpose of elevation. It's mentioned in many places, the reason that Teiro Mitzvah is referred to as Zriya planting, this goes on the descent of Teiro Mitzvahs to enclose itself in physical objects. The kavana, the intention of this descent, is for an elevation that to attain a level of an elevation that they didn't have before. It's the same way that a person plants in the ground. In order that it should grow more than it was before. So he throws the pits in the ground. Mele, it's a yerida. It rots. It completely rots. It becomes iron. And then from that is matzmiach inyan of a yesh, of Isavos, a new entity. And therefore, this is also what Chassidus explains. Why is it that it has to take a rat, it has to completely decompose? Yeah, it has to disintegrate completely. So the reason is because in order that from one yesh should become another yesh, from one entity another entity, there must be a buffer in the middle, a nullification state in the middle. So this is when it becomes ois, and then it becomes a new metzias.
You have this by the birth of a child?
The birth of a child, Chassidus says, there's an interesting footnote, apprentices in a MaMaar. It's the only place I saw it. Either in Samach Samach or Kol Hanen, one of the discourses from the Rebbe Rashab, that he writes, L'cheira, how could we say it's Yesh Ma'ayin? L'cheira, it's from the father. So he says that when we compare the sperm to a complete child with all the limbs, it's Ke'en Yesh Ma'ayin. That's how he explains it.
So you say Torah and mitzvahs came down into Gashmias to be elevated. The Torah and mitzvahs are elevated, or the Gashmias is elevated?
The mitzvahs came down here. In other words, there is a chshivos in the mitzvahs as the mitzvahs are practiced in this physical world. In Maisa.
Right.
And in Mela, there's a chshivos in the mitzvah. The mitzvah itself receives a shleimus because this is where the mitzvahs are practiced. They're not in the higher worlds. Leiba shamayim. Let's see how the Rebbe unfolds this. So then the Rebbe continues, "V'tzarich lahavin al pi biur zeh haloshen zriya b'teiro mitzvah shaya b'negei l'Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Shehu heirid al teiro mitzvahs lemata. The union of zriya is that the Eibishter was the one that brought it down in this physical world. V'lei b'negei l'kim al teiro mitzvahs d'adam. It doesn't relate to the fulfillment of teiro mitzvahs in a person. The Eibishter took teiro mitzvahs, he drew it down here lemata, and the Yid is here in this physical world, so he practices it.
There's a question?
Yeah.
What's the question?
The question is, okay, let's finish the whole question so you get the picture. MaMaar kosev vayizra Yitzchok, and when it says vayizra Yitzchok, that Yitzchok planted, move on shegam kiyam ateiron mitzvahs do adam, he yiridul tzerech aliyah. Then when it says vayizra Yitzchok, we mentioned earlier, is that aveda, the service of a person is that he's studying Torah and he's fulfilling mitzvahs, and that alone is a descent for the purpose of ascent. So l'cheira, this whole inyan of planting Torah mitzvahs, who is the one that brought it down there? The Eibishter himself brought it down. So it's not that that a Yid is actually planting, putting it into the ground. The Eibishter put it down in this physical world. And a Yid is merely fulfilling it.